What's up, everyone? It's Monday. Miss Matthew in the middle at Be Like Water Media on this momentous Monday, where the Supreme Court ruled in favor of one Donald J. Trump today in his immunity case, saying in 6-3 that he is entitled to some immunity for actions he took while president. And so for the Democrats and Joe Biden, one of the last remaining safety nets in case all hell went to loose and there was no rescue, it does not look like Donald J. Trump will be going to prison anytime soon for his actions on or after January 6th. So now the Democrats are stuck. What do they do? Because once again, the Supreme Court ruled 6-3, and it's been a pretty brutal final week from verdicts from the Supreme Court. Everything from the Chevron verdict, taking away the ability for government agencies to regulate, to the ability to the Bible to still be kept and be studied in school classrooms, to this one with Trump being held to have immunity. So now what do the Democrats do? Well, they said this weekend that Joe Biden huddled with his closest family and friends, and that would probably be his wife and his son. You know, as I always say, when you want good advice, go to your wife and a crackhead. One of them will always have the best advice. The favorite to replace him is Gavin Newsom, ahead of Kamala Harris. But neither one of them will truly, they believe, have an ability to campaign against Trump, because they both hail from the state of California, which is pretty liberal in this country. If the Democrats could close their eyes and have a dream ticket right now, who do you think would be on it? Close your eyes right now, and I want you to picture a face smiling back at you. And it says President, well, besides Oprah, it says President Michelle Obama. Yes, I'm sure right now there are men, women, children, animals all trying to communicate with the Democrats and whisper, please, Michelle, just one time, save our country. But the thing is, you can actually bet on her, and she's not even that much of a wild card. The true wild cards, the ones that you can really bet on, who actually have a chance to Gretchen Whitmer, which is the governor of Michigan, 1,000 to 1, so you win $1, you win $10. J.D. Pritzker is 8,000 to 1. He is the governor of Chicago. The reason why he's a big high up there is because the man is loaded. He can finance his campaign, your campaign, my campaign, everyone's campaign. The debates will now that the first debate is over, the second debate will not be until September. Between then will be the two conventions. One convention in Wisconsin is going to be pretty much what you see. I mean, except for maybe getting the hot tour girl on there, you're going to see Donald Trump and his vice president. And we're down to the final three candidates there. More people you can bet on. The favorite is Doug Burnham, the governor of Dakota. I'll tell you which Dakota. Not the one Kristi Noem's in charge of. And the other two are Marco Rubio and J.D. Vance. Long shot, but one I really like, 33 to 1, is Tim Scott, the South Carolina African-American senator who brings a lot of panache to the job and can bring a lot of his conservative Southern root. Either way, that person will in the end be going head-to-head against Kamala Harris. But that's the sticking point, really. A lot of Democrats believe that if she was willing to say that she would stay on as just a Democrat and not fight for the nomination, that the Democrats would let it go to the floor and see who can replace Biden. But because Kamala Harris is so unpopular that the rotting corpse of Joe Biden can do better than she could against Trump. And that's where the Democrats are at. So next few weeks, you're going to hope to see them before their convention come up with the candidates who can appeal across the country and, across the nation. The one thing for sure is they will go for someone who's younger, so you can truly create a contrast between not just ideals and principles between Trump and the Republican, but between age and visuals. It's different when you have two old men on stage wondering which one's going to shit themselves or fall asleep first, instead of having two or one young person on stage. And young is amazing. Young in politics is, in their 50s. And if in sports they'd be retired so long they wouldn't be able to even be let near the court. But in politics, 50, they're like a child. I mean, it's interesting that you could actually only become president once you turn 35. It's one of the only rules to keep you from being president is you have to be 35 years old. 34? No. 36? Yep. So it's the wisdom you always hear people say of, 35 knows best. So it's a question now of who knows best. And we know Donald knows best for most of the country in his view and in their view. And he's also going to try to keep his name and his face out of the press or the story for a little bit. So though originally they said his vice presidential pick would probably be rolled out this week, I would imagine now they want to keep the story as much on Biden and Biden's age and whether Biden was going to be alive come December, instead of worrying about changing the story, because one of the old maxims in politics is if your other opponent is doing anything to hurt himself, don't do anything to stop it. And the only thing they can do now to stop it would try to change the story. So let Democrats panic amongst themselves and figure out who's going to be the one brave enough. You saw this weekend they came out from Nancy Pelosi to Chuck Schumer, and even Obama wrote a letter that all of them support Joe and everyone has a bad night or two. I mean, everyone does have a bad night or two, but the problem is when you're 82, it's not that you have a bad night or two, it's that you don't even have that many nights or two left. So, where the country is at today, you wonder, it comes down to a questionness of really Biden's selfishness. Is Biden going to be a selfish man like Ruth Bader Ginsburg? Oh, I know people hate to hear that, but if Ruth wasn't a little selfish, was a little less ego and retired, you wouldn't have a 6-3 ruling. I mean, you'd probably still have a 5-4 ruling, but, there'd be more Democrats on the thing, because why? Ruth let herself die while she was in the chair. And in the end, Biden's going to let himself not die literally, but politically, instead of being replaced. And just like the Supreme Court today saving saving Donald Trump, come November, the American people are going to show, and hopefully they think, save America by voting for someone who's young enough to keep this country rolling. And at the moment, they believe it's Joe Biden's rival, Donald Trump. I don't know if they're right or wrong, but I do know that sooner or later, someone's going to have to come test the theory. So until then, I'm Matthew in the middle here. Be like water. And let's keep moving along. Monday, folks.